Doug Lehman, breaking it down in layman's terms. I got a special guest today, Scott Ingram. Now, Scott lives at the intersection of sales, marketing, and technology. But on that intersection, there's a media content whiz here. And Scott's producer, show host of 3 podcasts. Not only that, he's written 3 books, and he carries a quota in his sales job. Scott Ingram, welcome in layman's terms.
Thanks, Doug. Good to be here with you.
Well, Scott, it's been a pleasure to finally get a chance to see you face-to-face in a video interview, which we have to do in this virtual world, and we've got a lot to cover. You're very dynamic with your interview shows, but I want to lead off with Relation One, your company that you're working for right now. You've got a podcast, Inspired Marketing. Can you talk about that concept and how you've partnered up with that company?
Yeah, so I work for that company, so that is my full-time day job, and that show is really, it was a door opener for me. So when I first came into working with them, I was working on new accounts, and the best way I've ever found to open doors into new relationships is by interviewing folks on a podcast, because it's all about them, right? You have this opportunity to connect with somebody in a way that is 100% focused on them. My job is just to ask questions. You know all about this, Doug, right? I just ask questions, and it's all about them. But through that conversation and through the process of getting ready for the interview and doing the interview, and then the magic, I say, always happens after you turn the microphone or turn the recording off. You build something real, and it's a very easy transition into a sales conversation. A lot of times they're bringing it up and asking, now, what do you do? How does this work? And it's been just an incredible show. I mean, I've interviewed so many of the top marketers in Fortune 500 companies, and it's been just great for me, great for Relationship One, and love doing that show.
Well, I love the show too, because you're really dealing with marketing executives. And I love what you said about, the pre-production of the show, then the show, and then you're trying to build these relationships. And I heard you say in other interviews that when you're prospecting, you're trying to position that prospect hopefully into a mentorship, a strong relationship. And if you could comment on that a little bit.
Yeah, I give this advice a lot, right? I think if you open yourself up to allowing your prospect or future client to teach you, to educate you, to teach them about their business, to teach you about their role, to teach you about their challenges and the things that they're trying to overcome. It's almost a fast track to becoming an advisor, because anytime you have that mentor-mentee type of relationship, you're learning from each other. And so I love that dynamic. It's very, very natural to me. And again, the podcast kind of, I think, accelerates that capability.
Well, speaking of podcasts, and you talked about mentorship and learning, one of the podcasts that I found out about you socially via LinkedIn, but more importantly, sales success stories and critically acclaimed sales success stories. I mean, what you're going after is 1%ers. And it's not just people making club. You're talking about the number one person at that said organization. Talk about learning from best of the best. How did that concept come about?
Well, it came about because I mean, I've been in sales for the last, let's not count the years, a long time. And I've always been a student of the craft, right? I've always read lots of books and watched webinars and done all of these things. But so much of that content comes from people who haven't actively carried a quota and worked for another organization in years and sometimes decades. And there was just this missing voice from the people who are in it right now. And I wanted to hear what the very best right today, with all of the challenges, what are they doing to succeed and find success? And it was missing. So I kind of took it upon myself, and it has been, I can't tell you how much I have learned from all of these conversations and these individuals. And again, we come back to the mentor-mentee theme. I mean, many of these folks have become my mentors, and I can't tell you how much I've learned from them and how much I've improved just from having these conversations and having built these relationships in this community.
I love the concept because you're learning from some of the creme de la creme, the best of the best. And it's just a learning environment, and they're well vetted because what they're giving you is knowledge. It may not be some sales expert or author. It's somebody that's actually carrying a bag on their quota, hitting their numbers, number one with that. And you continue to bring those experts on. But I also love the fact that you've got another podcast with the daily sales tips where you're getting knowledge from experts all over the place. How did that show come about, and what can we look forward to in 2021 on that show?
Yeah, that's a fun story because I realized the two best things about sales success stories were also the two worst things about it. So one, obviously my criteria is ridiculous. So even if I know that you're going to have the best sales book that's going to come out this year, I can't have you on that show unless you happen to be the number one top seller inside of a traditional sales organization. And the other thing is those episodes are very long. I've been described as the Tim Ferriss of sales. I tend to go very deep. It's not unusual for those episodes to be 90 minutes, sometimes even longer. And so Daily Sales Tips was one, my opportunity to be more broad and more inclusive and bring a lot more folks onto that show. And it's very, very short. So every single day, you'll find a new sales tip, and they're typically about 5 minutes or less. So very short, very quick, a whole variety of different influences and thoughts and ideas. And I love doing that show as well.
I love it too. And you've got, hundreds of episodes on that. Now I want to switch gears. You've written 3 books. Any other books in the works right now for Scott Ingram?
Yeah, so I think the flagship book right now is volume 1 of Sales Success Stories. So I actually took about 20 of the folks that had been on the podcast and asked them to write stories for this book. So we put together a collection of 60 different stories in volume 1 that's available today. Volume 2 we will publish this year, and we're actually working with the Dale Carnegie organization on that book. So I've partnered with Dan Heffernan, who is their chief sales officer, and we're going to kind of combine these modern day sales stories from top producers in today's environment and connect those ideas to some of the fundamental principles that Dale Carnegie was talking about so many years ago.
Talking about partnerships and resources with Dale Carnegie, that is awesome. Scott, I'm going to give you the second to last word. Any closing remarks, whether it's personal branding, books, sales success stories? I'm going to give you the last shot here in layman's terms.
There's so much. I think the best thing to do if you want to learn more about me and my work and the things that I'm doing, if you listen to episode 62 of the Sales Success Stories podcast, we turned to the tables and I got interviewed on my own show in sort of a deep dive format. And so you can learn all about my productivity process. People are often asking me, how the heck are you doing all this? How are you managing a multi-million-dollar quota while managing 3 podcasts, and you've got a family and you're on your Peloton all the time? And oh my God, how do you do all this? And so I talk through all of that and really what the inspiration is and what my why is and all of that great stuff. So that's a great place to go. top1.fm/62 will take you straight there.
Number 62. I want to thank our special guest, Scott Ingram. And more importantly, I want to thank you out there for social watching.